Hi guys, welcome to my new video. I'm sorry if I really wasn't that active during this period on my channel, but I really thought that in this period the game and the power creep in general was really high, and I couldn't find a deck that I really like to play. So if I'm not engaged in this game, I really don't think that I want to bring content about the game that I'm not playing. But after Maze of Myrtos and Mars Protocol, I think that I really found a deck that I like to play, and this deck is Magnet Warrior Fiendsmith. I think that this deck is really underrated and very strong, because I used to win most of my match, and it's also very funny to play. And just for this deck, I think that I want to make a video because I made this deck profile. Of course, I took inspiration from other deck lists, but I I played this deck for a lot right now, and I think that this is the best way possible to play the deck. I apologize in advance for my bad English, and of course I'm not here to complain about the game, because I just want to have fun and you all to have fun with my videos and maybe my deck list, if you wanna try it. Let's just start. I think that we can start with the main starters, like 3 copies of plus minus. This card is insane. You can just bump 2 monsters from your deck to grave for summon condition that it's very strong. Then, and of course, this card is the main starter of the deck. You can play 3 copies of beta, because this is also another of the main starters of the deck. Then I play 3 copies of Sigma Minus. If you want to find more engine space in this deck, you can actually cut 1 copy of Minus, but I think that 3 copies of him are perfect in this deck, because you want to draw him. It's not bad to draw Minus, I'm sorry. It's not bad to draw him, so I used to play at 3 copies. I also play 1 Sigma Plus, just 1 copy, because of course this is the Fiendsmith version of the deck. If you're playing this deck in a more pure way, you should definitely play this card at 2 copies. Then I play 1 copy of Epsilon and 1 copy of Omega Plus. This card just fixed all this deck problem. Like, if you draw him, you can just of course with him send to the graveyard him plus and beta, and because you usually want to send Omega Plus and beta, you usually want to send Sigma Plus, so you can just send these 2 to activate this effect and destroy beta plus Sigma Plus in your hand to special summon beta and continue your combo. So this card really fixes all the deck problem, and even in the Fiendsmith version, if you control him, that makes all the monsters on the field hurt. You can just, if you have him in your graveyard and in your hand, you can just pop this card to special summon it, and it is also a level 4 monster, so this card is very strong for the deck. Then 1 copy of Delusion, of course, 3 copies of the main starter in the deck, Duotherion. Of course, if you want to find some other space, you can just cut 1 copy of Delusion. So, because this is not the pure version of the deck, this is the Fiendsmith version of the deck, and you can actually play just 2 copies, not less than 2, but it's fine if you want to cut 1. 3 copies of Bonding, the strongest card in the deck, of course. This card does everything for the deck, and I really like to play 1 copy of Field. I really like to play this card. Of course, not just for the grind game, because yes, it gives you a strong, very, very strong grind game, but it can also help you to out a lot of the boss monsters. Like Branded Dracotail is meta right now, and you can just attack Mirror Jade to avoid and bounce him in the extra deck to avoid his secondary effect that will destroy all of your board during the end phase. You can just attack him with a little monster, take some damage, and then bounce it into the extra deck. So this card is really, really strong, and it has a lot it has a really high synergy with this and this, because your opponent must attack with all of his monsters, and if you have these, you can just bounce out one of their monster. Then you will play, of course, the Fiendsmith package, that is 2 engravers, 1 Lacrima, 1 Lurri, and 2 copies of Tracto. Really, really standard. I think that my deck is really standard except for 1 or 2 cards, but I really have fun with this deck, so I recommend you to try it. 3 copies of Ash Blossom for the non-engine, 3 copies of Ghostbell, 3 Fuvalos, 2 Brulia, 1 Nib, 1 Talent, and 1 Callby. I really don't know why people are not playing talents in this deck, but I think that this card is insane, so why not? And if you cut like the 1 copy of minus and 1 copy of Deuterion, you can play Purge, but I do not have the Dominus Purge, and if you want to try it, play it. Of course, you have to play also the Infinite Impermanence if you play Purge. Let's start with the extra deck with 1 copies of Plasma Magnum, insane card, very, very strong. It has also a floodgate effect that it's really not strong against most of the decks, but if you find one of the deck that really needs a determinate attribute, you can just use him and it's very strong. 1 Flux, the card that really make the difference in TCG, because in OCG this deck is really not played though. Maybe for Unblocked Dragon, but they do not have this card, that this card is really, really strong. 1 copy of EP, 1 copy of SP, 1 copy of Gorgon, 1 copy of Gallant. Then we can start with the Fiendsmith package. We play, of course, 1 Exiton and 1 Dracosac for the combo. Then 1 Requiem, and then 1 Caesar. 1 copy of Requiem, 1 copy of Sequence, and 1 Akmundei. And then we're playing like 1 Lacrimosa, 1 Necroquip, and 1 Desirai. I think that this extra deck is really perfect in his ratios. I will never change a thing about this extra deck, because realistically the only card that you can cut is like the 1 copy of him, but I really think that you will shouldn't do that, because I will show you a really cool interaction with him and the Fiendsmith. And if you draw like Engraver or Tract plus Animal Charmy, you can just like go Engraver, discard to search for Tract, activate Tract, then search for Lurri. Lurri will discard, special summon, of course, Lurri, link for Requiem, then use Requiem to tribute summon, to tribute Requiem to summon Lacrima. Lacrima will bump another Engraver, and then you can just normal summon him and overlay these two to search him, to summon Gallant, and then use his effect to search for him, and this is like full combo. that is really good. Trust me, this is really, really good. This is all for today's video. I hope that you really liked my deck profile. And if you liked it, you can leave a comment and a subscription. Enjoy!